Simple setup. Backlit from where I'm standing. And you want a board with enough damn acreage on it to be able to see what the hell you're doing. No more goddamn postage stamps. This will be crude, but that's all the hell I know. Okay, Bear, no drawing. You look at your setup, and you make your viewfinder. Point, point, dangling dick. You make your square. You get it the proportion of your board. And you look through it to see the general position of where you want to put your tall object, your lower object, how far to the right or left, so forth and so on. Look back at your board, try to visualize it a little bit. Get your paint, and then start making your comparisons. What the hell is that shadow? What's the cast shadow? What's the light plane on the table? Whatever. Let your eye dart from one to the other, to the other, to the other. When you've made up your mind about the first one, you look back and forth and decide roughly where it is on your board that it's going to be. And then you make your note. And then you decide, okay, that's about a fourth over there before I get to it, and then it covers about 2/5 more, blah, 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 blah. That ought to be close enough for government work. My old daddy used to say. Okay, there's the shadow note. What the hell's the light plane? Well, shadow note looked kind of turquoisey. The light plane looks kind of rose. Partly because it looks like rose is because of the orange bowl. Because we're in afternoon light, so somebody would say, oh, that means it's got yellows and oranges in it. Hell no, it doesn't mean any such thing. It may have some kind of warmth to it, but the overall note is as much influenced by the sky as anything else. And in comparison to the orange bowl, it's obviously a pinkish note. What kind of pink? Well, looks like a cool pink to me. Cool-ish pink. And you get an idea about where it is and put it in. Try to mix up enough paint that you think you're going to need to cover that area. Okay, the background either side of it. Well, has kind of an off greenish cast. Looks kind of like earth color. I'll go with some of Eric's blue ochre. Since it looks like it's got about as much blue in it as it does green. And not to miss out on the little bits of hedge that are showing over there. tabletop. Reddish note. Well, what kind of reddish note? Kind of a gray pink. Little tiger, you need to stay the hell off the table today. Go. Back half of the shadow looks completely different than the part that's in front of the pot. So whatever that is, looks kind of like an earth note. Also got some other stuff in it. Kind of like a dirty quinacridone. Neck of the pot, cash out of the neck, roughly. Now the hard part, orange, little orange bowl. Well, it kind of looks orange, don't it? What kind? How much yellow's it got in it? How much red's it got in it? And where the hell is it? Well, the light plane inside it is beyond the upright pot. It's down close to the base, but just a little above it, so about right there. The front of it, the convex, looks a little dirtier orange than the concave on the inside. That little mirror is catching the whole afternoon light in that one little pocket. So it looks a little redder and a little duller. So you make it like you see it. Outside the orange bowl, looks like a earth color, an orangey earth color. So I got some earth and I added some orange to it, and it kind of goes about right there, maybe. Inside is a shadow note, but it's almost a half light note because the light's going inside the bowl and bouncing around like a whatever the hell, pinball ball. Ding, 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 ding. So let's see what that is. It's orangey, but it ain't orange. It's full of light, but it's not a light plane. Now, the two cast shadows. Look kind of purple to me. Let's keep it simple. Some manganese violet, a little quinacridone. That's about as purple as you can get. And then you decide, okay, so that comes down there, so that goes out there. And the cast shadow behind the bowl is kind of about right there. Then we got the back side of the table, which now has as many dappled cast shadow leaves on it as it is light. So you don't start putting little dappled broken leaves and shit. You come up with a composite note that reads as both the light and shade in that area. Now's when you get to draw. Ooh. Color is structural. That means the color makes up the entire volume of what we're looking at. Yes, it's full of variations of color, yet that object is a composite of a ball of light that has weight and form. As Einstein said, all this is a whole bunch of light, speed, and stuff that has slowed down to where we can see it. So it has nothing to do with the perimeter, because there's not any damn perimeter. That little bowl, that pot, is immersed in a giant bowl of light. And that's the effect that we hope to get somewhere along the way as we go. Uh-oh, I drew that in the wrong place. What a disaster. Hey, buddy. Hey, little buddy. Now. Didn't make enough purple. Part of the table back here looks more like a green compared to the front of the table that looked more like a pink. So you figure out some kind of green. And that's what your start is supposed to look like. Just crude as hell, but with the shock of the light and some semblance of the internal aspect of whatever colors you're looking at. Yeah, it wasn't all turquoise, but it had a lot in it, so you make the whole damn thing turquoise. Yeah, it was pink, but it wasn't that cool. It was a little warmer, but hell, you can't get both at the same time without getting gray. So you mix up the one component and you put it in. Same with the bowl. Same with every other color. Now at this point, you're supposed to restate every one of these colors by adding something else to them. And as you're adding to that and adjusting the color, you adjust the shape. So by the time you get through with your second round of adjustments of your colors, well, the first round beyond your first statement here, the shape should be probably 75% correct by the time you get to them. At least the proportions, the size and the distance, and how much table compared to background, all of that information should be there, just in the size and shapes of the colors that you've made and put in. So let me turn this off a second. Had to rest my eyes a minute. Working on this board with full lights. Pretty blinding. Okay, now we're fixing to go on our first round of restatements. On a decent sized board like this, you've got room to see that, oh hell, the top and the middle and the bottom are really three completely different colors from the mass note. So why don't I just go ahead and adjust each one of those as I go, if I can see them. If you can't, restate the entire mass. For example, too, the shoulder and the neck are different from the front, and the bottom of the front is different from the top of the front. On the bowl, the half lights are obviously different from the light and shade, and because you've got a larger board, there's enough real estate to put it in. Same with the cast shadows. First half of the cast shadow is obviously different from the back half. Same with this one back here. The upper half of the background shade of the fence is completely different than the bottom half. Top third of the front is completely different than the lower half of the front. The back half of the table and light is completely different than the front half of the table and light. So if you can see a difference right now as you go into your second 30 minutes, then go ahead and adjust it. Don't adjust it with a goddamn axe. You add a little increment to that. Okay, it's the back half is a little pinker, bluisher than the front half. The front half is maybe a tiny bit greener than the back half. And you add just a little bit, change it just a little bit, change it just a little bit. Don't go crazy. All this bad drawing's hurting my feelings. It really does. But all you got to do is tell yourself, so damn what? It don't matter. What the hell is that? Okay. Of course, that full light on that board's making all the colors in the camera much paler than they actually are in real life. But we just have to do the best we can. See, this is where the warm cool bullshit has no application. The note more distant to the eye was warmer than the one that was close up. And even in the lights, you end up with this cool pink. Of course, if you put it on top of the violet, it's a warm note. It just goes to show that all of that language, all of that terminology, all that conceptual thought process is total bullshit and a waste of time. And it's a distraction from making your observations. So just don't do it. Just say no. It's always fun to be an ass, isn't it? It's the best part. It's funny how that earth red I put in there, well, actually it was cadmium maroon. All of a sudden has the appearance of green to it instead of red or deep rose. It looks like we've got about enough paint up there. So now you get to draw again. By trying to improve your shapes. Well, that's just goddamn great. Some idiot fucking phone call caused the camera to shut off while I was restating and straightening up some of the shapes. But all I was doing is flattening the notes, getting rid of the ridges at the end, some of the globs. And what I said was that that's a start. We don't fuss over the drawing. We pay attention to the proportions, the sizes, the shapes of the colors, and we try to get the colors as best we can, as quick as we can. And then do our housekeeping so that it'll be in fairly decent shape to work on again without having a bunch of ridges and bumps and lumps to keep us from developing things as well as we can. And preferably either everything is still wet when you get to work on it the next time, or everything has dried. Because it's two different ways of having to work at things.